Listen, there is a sound that only a broken heart can hear. In the ancient kingdom of Adebayo, when the full moon hung fat and white in the sky, a single drum beat would echo from the depths of the forbidden forest, a deep crimson sound. They said it was the spirit of the land weeping. They said it called to those whose souls were fractured, offering either a curse or a cure. But no one who ever followed this sound returned the same. Tonight, you will learn why. In the village of Adebayo, life was governed by old rhythms. The rhythm of the planting, the rhythm of the harvest, the rhythm of gossip. And at the center of the gossip was a young woman named Ibude. Ibude carried a silence within her. It was a quiet that made others talk. She walks like a queen, but was born under a weeping star, they whispered at the well. Her mother died of a sorrow that never had a name, they muttered at the market. Ibude heard them. She said nothing. She walked her family's patch of land, her hands in the soil, her spirit wandering somewhere far away. Her only language was the dance. When the festival drums spoke, her body answered, telling stories of longing her lips never could. In Adebayo, the festival of the sacred rains was the year's loudest heartbeat. Every year, as the grey skies gave way to brilliant bursts of color and the sweet aroma, the air was always thick with spice and song. While everyone was busy with the feast, Ibude moved to the edge of the celebration, a shadow in a world of firelight. There, under the old baobab, she danced alone. Her feet spoke of a thirst. Her arms carved shapes of a cage in the air. Then, all other drums stopped. One beat remained, a low, throbbing pulse that came not from the village square, but from the dark. It was a sound that bypassed the ear and spoke straight to the bone. The crowd stilled. The laughter died. A man stepped into the fringe of light, his tall bearing too straight for a farmer, his eyes holding the watchful gleam of a forest animal. In his hands was a drum the color of fresh blood, the crimson drum. He looked only at Ibude. Why does the river bird dance on the bank and never test the current? He called, his voice weaving through the silent crowd. Before Ibude could find her breath, a wind swept through the square, snuffing torches. When light returned, the man was gone, the drumbeat was gone. Only a chill remained, and 100 pairs of eyes now fixed on Ibude.
Look at Ibude.
The imbalance was set. The old peace was broken. The next morning, they discovered that every new shoot in the yam fields was withered, blackened as if touched by frost. Panic, cold and sharp, replaced the festival's joy. The elders said the land was offended. They searched for a cause, and their gaze settled on the strange event, on the stranger, on Ibude. As panic spread, all eyes were on Ibude, so she decided to go and find him. And she found him by the river, with the crimson drum resting beside him. His name was Ngome, he said, a traveler and a collector of forgotten stories. They blame you, Ibude stated, her voice flat. They blame what they do not understand, he replied. The drum did not cause the withering. It announced it. The land is sick, and it calls for a healer. Why me? She asked. Because you listened, he said, and because you are already broken. A whole vessel cannot contain the medicine this cure requires. He told her of an old tale, a folly of pride, about a past king, afraid of losing his power, had stolen a sacred seed, the heart of the land's fertility, and hid it away, thinking to control the seasons. The land betrayed, learned to wither. The drum he carried was fashioned from the wood of the tree that died that day. It was a lament made solid. Their meetings became a secret ritual as they met every other day. He shared ancient texts, while she shared the weight of her solitude. And from that, a fragile trust grew. He saw not a cursed woman, but a quiet strength. She saw not a mysterious stranger, but a man burdened with a knowledge too heavy to share.
Together, they pieced together the remedy, a ritual of return at the next full moon, requiring a voluntary sacrifice of pride from a descendant of the thief. The village's fear curdled into anger, a faction of elders led by the stern elder Ebako declared Ngome a sorcerer who had corrupted Ibude and poisoned the land. They called for his banishment and for her a trial. On the night before the full moon, Ngome was taken. Ibude watched from the shadows as the elder's guards bound his hands. His eyes found hers in the dark. He did not struggle. He simply nodded once towards the forest. Ibude ran, not to the village, but to the place they had last met. Beneath a flat stone, she found a leather pouch. Not left by Ngome, it was too old, the hide cracked. Inside, a brittle scroll and a small carved wooden bird stained with a pigment the color of the drum. The scroll told a different story. It named the thief, not a king of a lost dynasty. It was Elder Ebako's own direct ancestor, a humble priest who had coveted the seed's power. The curse was not on the land alone, but on the lineage of the thief, a withering of legacy, a blight on the bloodline. The drum was not a lament, it was a judge. It called the broken-hearted from the thief's own line, offering one a chance to break the chain. Fate really began to plan dirty tricks for them as the truth unfolded in her hands. The drum had not called to any broken heart, it had called specifically to her. Ibude was not a random victim of gossip. She was Elder Ebako's forgotten granddaughter, her mother cast out for a disgrace Ebako now hid. Her loneliness was her inheritance. The ritual didn't need a symbolic sacrifice. It needed her bloodline to renounce its own hidden lie. Ibude went to the sacred clearing at moonrise. The entire village was there, ringed in torchlight, holding Ngome. Elder Ebako stood before the stone altar, where the crimson drum now sat. The sorcerer will confess, Ebako thundered. He will tell us how he used this woman to attack our bounty. Ibude walked into the center. The crowd hushed. She held up the wooden bird and the scroll. The drum did not call him, she said. It called me. It called the one whose blood planned the old theft, the one whose family still hides the lie. Ebako's face went grey. Child, you are confused. He has poisoned your mind. Then why, Ibude asked, does this scroll bear the seal of your great-grandfather's priesthood? Why does it confess that he took the seed of seasons and hid it in the belly of a carving, a bird of a rockle wood? She raised the small bird. This bird. A collective gasp tore through the crowd. Ebako's authority crumbled in the silence that followed. Ngome spoke then, his bonds meaningless. The ritual is not a sacrifice of life, but of the seed. The seed must be returned to the earth by the hand that inherited the sheen. The land waits for truth, not blood. As Ebako stared, defeated, the crimson drum began to hum. Not from being struck, from within. A deep resonant vibration that made the ground tremble. The surface of the drum shimmered, and the painted symbols upon it shifted and rearranged themselves, forming a new pattern, the true thief through the leaf, a face that bore a striking, undeniable resemblance to Elder Ebako. The drum was not just a judge, it was a living record. It had witnessed the original sin. It had waited all these generations for the moment the lie stood before it. The evidence was now etched in crimson for all to see. Ebako fell to his knees, not in ritual but in defeat. The hidden truth was now the most public fact in Adebayo. Ibude approached the altar. She placed the wooden bird upon it. She took a ceremonial knife, but instead of aiming it at herself or Ebako, she gently pried at the seam of the cavity. It split open. Inside, not a jewel, but a single shriveled pod, the seed of seasons, dead for generations. The sacrifice Ngumi said softly for all to hear is the acceptance of barrenness, the acceptance that what was stolen cannot be regained by force, only by faith. The seed is dead, but the truth of its return is the new seed. Ebude placed the withered pod into a hole in the sacred earth and covered it. She turned to her grandfather, the community, the weight of the story. I renounce the lie. I choose the truth, even if it leaves us empty. There was silence. The crowd waited for a miracle, for green shoots to burst forth. Nothing happened. The sky did not open. The drum fell silent. The withering in the fields remained. A deep, terrible disappointment settled over the people. They had seen truth, but not transformation. They began to turn away, murmuring, the ritual had failed. Elder Ebako stood, a broken man. He looked at his granddaughter, at the scorn returning to the faces of his people. And then he did what no elder ever did.
He walked to the center beside Ebude. He faced his community. He said, "The curse was not on the land. It was on our memory. We forgot how to be ashamed. We forgot to be humble. My family's lie poisoned your trust, not your soil. The blight is in us." He tore his elder's bead necklace from his throat and let the bead scatter on the earth, a final shocking renunciation. In the void left by his confession, a new sound arose, not from the drum, from the people. A low, soft hum. It started with one voice, then another. It was a wordless tune of old mourning, of release. They were not singing for rain. They were singing for the dead seed, for the long lie, for their own complicity in silence. They were singing the truth. And as they sang, the first drop of rain fell. Then another, a gentle, soaking rain that washed the dust from the leaves and the shame from the air. It did not instantly green the fields, but it was a promise. The healing had begun, not with magic, but with a community finally hearing its own honest song. In the years that followed, Adebayo changed. The fields returned to life, season by patient season. Ebude and Ngome became keepers of the new story. He taught the history the drum protected. She taught the strength in quiet truth. They married not with loud celebration, but under the silent approval of the baobab. Elder Ebako lived his last years as a simple farmer, tending a small plot. He never led again, but he was often seen, head bowed, listening to the children laugh in a world his confession helped make whole. The crimson drum was placed in the community hall. It never sounded on its own again. It didn't need to. Its enigma was solved. Sometimes, on the quietest nights, those who sit near it swear they can feel a faint warm pulse, like the heartbeat of a sleeping child. A reminder that some silences are not empty, but full of a truth too deep for sound. And so again, beneath the moon's watchful eye, the ancestors remind us, a curse is just a truth that everyone has agreed to not say. The most powerful in magic is not in raising the dead, but in burying the lie. The drum that calls the brokenhearted does not seek to fix them, but to ask them, what weight are you carrying that is not yours to bear? When you put it down, the land itself remembers how to breathe. After watching till the end, tell me, if you are in Dada's shoes, would you have behaved differently? When the whole village blamed you, when the easy path was to let the stranger take the fall, when the truth meant exposing your own family's shame to the light, would you have had the courage to let the drum speak? Let us see your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share for more stories where the past whispers and the courageous listen.